Terry.
It's always good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for doing our annual update here.
Yeah.
Today we're gonna focus on you and not really talk about your company. We're gonna just talk about who you are and everything about you, and then our audience can check out a closed source webinar where you're gonna give us a complete update about the company and what's going on with it and all the great things that you're up to. Do you have your phone on you?
I do.
Do you follow? I think it's Katuza Research.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a. I don't know. There's a serious level there, and I'm in the serious level. I paid like $5,000 or something like that to join it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like Marin. He's and his team they're sharp guys.
They just put out a. That's kind of loud. They just put out a tweet. I think it was today or a couple days ago, talking about liquidity in the junior markets and how low it is. Have you seen it this low before?
No, not really. But I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, unfortunately, the regulators have done a terrible job of regulating our capital markets, and to the point they're almost broken.
Right.
And I've got a new, I'm the Save Canadian Mining guy, so I've got a whole new focus now. I've learned a bunch of stuff. I keep on learning. It's darker every day.
Really?
But it's darker, but it's lighter, because I think we've got a way to really turn it around, and I think it's politically winnable. And it's called Ban the Bots.
Okay, I saw that.
Because as it turns out, and this blew me away, if you rent pipe from, let's say, CIBC, and you're an offshore hedge fund, when you trade electronically, you automatically have short exempt status. I mean, it's mind blowing. Okay. So that is how this market has gotten where it's got.
Right.
So, I mean, theoretically, it's supposed to be a neutral thing at the end of the day, but nobody really polices that. So my whole thing now is, now that I know this is out there, I had no clue. Because even if you ban short selling, that wouldn't stop this. They have short exempt status.
Right.
So what we got to do is kill the bots. This is what started the bloody problem. We need to put an end to it. For the under $1 billion market caps, we got to stop that.
The algorithm trading?
Yep. And they have no purpose in those markets, none other than enriching the banks and enriching hedge funds and stealing from investors, stealing from companies, stealing from communities, stealing from the Canadian country. Because we can't create jobs, we can't build mines, can't enrich communities.
Right.
So that's ban the bots. We got to all get behind that. We got to start peppering our MPPs. We're going to go after. This is a classic Doug Ford issue. This is the Ford Nation, and they need to get behind this, because if they're not going to get behind this, then we're going to go to the next guy, because this is like you ride or die in this issue.
Right. Now, I'm sure you've reached out to some of these leaders. Have you got any responses?
You know what? I've just reached out. So it's early, but I expect we'll get to see them. They've been reachable before, and I think, honestly, it's a complicated issue. But now that we've made it simple, it's let's stop this one thing. And there's no the only guys winning on the one thing are the offshore hedge funds and the banks. Okay,
right.
And the banks are making tons of money and other things. They'll just have to suffer some losses here. Tough bananas for you, Mr. Banker.
So we can make some money.
So that our society capitalists can actually do the role they're supposed to do, reward good projects and punish bad ones, like old days.
Yeah, right now everybody's being punished.
Everyone's being punished, and as a result, the investors are wisely staying on the sidelines. Because why the hell would you?
Yeah.
Right. My message to people, because I've known this is coming now over the last couple of weeks. When I was out at Vancouver, I said to people, I know it's really dark out there, and it's hardest to write checks, when it's super dark. But also the most biggest parts of returns are when things go from bad to less bad.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when the real wins are.
It's almost the easy money.
That's the easy money.
I know that's a psychological.
I know it's really hard, but I'm saying to people, you know what? Get off half your wallet now. And if you can't stomach, buying individual stocks because it's just, it's because of the charts or whatever.
Yeah.
Then buy a really good mining fund. Buy CI, buy Mackenzie, buy BT Global, buy Palace Capital. These are all really great veteran managers, done great jobs over the years. They'll make you a lot of money. And if that helps you sleep at night, at least you're going to get in the game, Because what's going to happen, I predicted this, and it will happen, because it happens to me. It's probably happened to you. Remember, you're watching some stock, you know the management's good, you know the project's good, you like everything about the thing. You just think, you know what, I think it's still going to go down a little bit more.
True.
Okay? And so you don't buy.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, in these markets, what's going to happen is that you're going to be saying that about power nickel, okay?
Right.
And you're thinking, oh, you know, I could buy it today at 23 and a half, but, you know, it might go down to 22.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you wake up and it's at 30.
Right.
And then you wake up and it's at 40. And then it's at 60. And it's like you can never pull the trigger at that. And the thing might go to $6.
Right.
And you simply can't do it mentally after you've missed that first jump.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen to a lot of people. I'm saying protect yourself from missing this first jump by, if you can't get into the individual stocks because of the stock charts, then buy the funds.
Right.
You know, that's a good way to sort of ease into the game, because honestly, they've got no money to invest either.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think the biggest issue right now for junior companies, and you're different than this, and we'll highlight that, is can they raise money?
Yeah.
Like a lot of juniors right now, you know, I do these sales outreaches, right? And it's been the worst one. And I mean, I got good relationships, but it's like, Carl, we don't have any money.
Yeah.
You know? Now you're a little different because you're kind of a thought leader. You've got your own little community. I don't think you have a hard time, or as hard of a time, raising money.
Yeah, I mean, we've been blessed because we're in Quebec, so we've been able to do a lot of the 2-for-1 deals, and that makes it easier for people to write checks, right? So that's been good. And then, with the core group that owns the company, that owns over 50% of it, has been leading the issue every time. So that makes it again more easy, because investors see that you're continuing to put skin in the game, and that makes them comfortable. So you add those things, and then obviously we've got a community that we've worked at developing over the years, and they've been supportive. So we've been, it hasn't been easy. It's nothing easy in this market, but it's been, easier for us.
Yeah. I was at Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver that happens just before VRIC. And we were in between presentations, and there was a few gentlemen in front of me, and this one guy was really being aggressive about this company called Power Nickel. He was telling his peers, he's like, no, you gotta get into this now, that this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. And he's just predicting because he thinks all these things are gonna happen, which is great.
Yeah.
So you've got a good following out there, right?
Yeah. Honestly, what the crazy part is, we've traded something like 300 million shares in the last 24 months, and the stock. We did our financing, we first financing at Nisk at 25 cents. The stock's basically at 25 cents. Never got higher than I think 35 or 36. Never got lower than, got as low as 10, I guess, when the Russian invasion was on, or 9. But it's weird to trade that volume and not go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what's weirder still? Do you know that 60% of our trading is off the TSXV? 60%. And theoretically, that trading is only institutional. It's not mom and pop retail, and yet we're owned 90% by retail. So it's like, who the hell's trading in these dark markets?
Well,
this is why we know we got a big naked short problem, and we're going to deal with those guys. But that's why this market's so messed up, and why we got to ban the bots, because they're always there at the last 5 minutes of the day, where basically we can't bid up the stock. Otherwise we're charged with market manipulation. Yeah. But they can knock it down. Yeah, but they're not weird. Charged.
Yeah, it's not really free market, is it?
No, it's not a free market at all. This is so mad. And I mean, I've talked to hundreds of mining executives, man, and the story is uniform. It's not a Power Nickel story. This is a cross the border story. I'm sure you could tell me a bunch of your clients that have got the same commentary, and it's terrible. And honestly, the good news, I guess, is there is an identifiable solution. We need to go after the politicians now. Forget the regulators. Regulators are going to sit on their hands. They will not do anything until they're forced to. They're in their own echo chamber, or they're compromised. I don't know what, but they're certainly not acting for the industry's best interest or the country's best interest, in my view. I may, reasonable minds may differ.
Well, you've applied pressure. You've had meetings over the years now, and you just feel like you're not getting anywhere with them.
It's gotten worse, So
it's also gotten worse too. Look over there. It's like tent city.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that our society is not delivering the goods anymore, and it's because we're hamstringing, in my mind, capitalism. Capitalism as what do they say? It's the least worst, but it does work, if we let it go.
Yeah.
And the problem is right now we're regulated, out of control, and we've punished investors, we've rewarded crony capitalism, and man, that's a recipe for disaster. And here we are.
Yeah.
So as I said, like I think the good news is it's so bad that we're going to force change now. The good news is that banks have been now found liable for their clients' activities. So this pipe-to-pipe stuff, they were taking the position that if you got a problem with the guy who's running our pipe, sue the guy who's running the pipe, which is a ridiculous position. The only reason why their pipe's valuable is because they're a broker,
right?
And so they lost this pivotal decision to Harrington Global in New York, CIBC World Markets, Merrill Lynch. There's a bunch of them, and they basically now the judge said, look, if you're willfully negligent and this guy is trading and spoofing and naked shorting, yeah, you're responsible.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now the bank balance sheets open up as an attack line. So litigating the banks is obviously nobody wants to do that, but they got a big budget, and there's class action lawyers that love to get their hands on those guys. So I mean that's what we're looking at. And I mean, hey, I want to run a mining company. We found a great discovery at Nisk, lots of nickel, lots of PGMs. I think we could create and we'll create a great mine there and create great wealth for the community, great wealth for the First Nations, prosperity for our employees, prosperity for our shareholders. But, my God, it shouldn't be this hard. That's what I should be focusing on.
Right.
It shouldn't be fighting these stupid regulatory battles.
Well, good on you for doing that. That's a lot of character.
I don't know what it is. It's just pissed me off more than anything.
It's a long go.
It's a long go. You know what happened? 4 years ago in PDAC, I was in my booth along with all my compadres on a Sunday, literally yesterday, 4 years ago yesterday. And it was particularly horrific, even slow by today's standards. There was nobody there on Sunday. It was the first time they started charging $20 a head to get in. Because it used to be, it was always free to go to the investor exchange.
Right.
Because we paid the rent.
Right.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Why are they paying? So, and I was pissed, man, at PDAC for that, because I don't know if you're, as a PDAC member, we get a lot of emails. Like, you can't possibly read them all because you never get anything done.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they informed us about this charge, but in my mind, it's like I rented this booth, understanding it was going to be free, and if you change that and you're going to charge, you need to get a hold of me, not just send me an email.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I don't know what many thousands of dollars we gave them, but anyway, so I was like upset. But I said to the guys, I said, well, that's what happens. We let these, this bureaucracy that's running PDAC do this, and here we are, and it's like on this core issue of the naked shorting. Save Canadian Mining has pushed the initiative, raised the visibility. We tried the lobbying, that's not going to work. We need to get much more, agitated, much more activist, possibly sue. Definitely do a lot more, tweeting and Xing or whatever that is, social media activations. That needs leadership, and honestly, PDAC is well equipped, well designed to be that leader in that. They should be leading.
Like on board, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, I don't like, honestly, I started it just to get it going because it was, frustrating, and obviously frustrated Eric Sprott and Rob McEwen and Keith Neumeyer and Sean Ruse and all these people Alex Black, all these guys that came together that helped us and have been helping us, and the thousands of people that have joined our mailing list to support the thing. It's important to them. Yet, you know what? PDAC is still asleep at the switch. Have you invited him to do anything? Yeah, of course. And they're basically, I don't know what's wrong with them. We did finally speak yesterday at PDAC, so there was some progress there, and I want to hold out the best for them, because it's a natural for them to do this, and I want them. It's not about glory for Terry Lynch on this issue or Save Canadian Mining. All we really want to do is fix it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's all. Yeah. Just because I want to get back to my normal life. That's right. I don't need this. Yeah, you'd be more productive in other 100%, ways. And all of those people would be too. And it's a shame because, with the greening economy, in that whole push, Canada could be an absolute
leader.
And we should be. This should be generational wealth created here.
Yeah.
For the nation.
That's right.
And but times change, and opportunities are lost. And once you invest $500 million to build a mine, you're committed. It's up and it's going to produce. And it takes a lot to shut them down. But if you stop investing, it doesn't get done, and then some things change, and all of a sudden that opportunity's lost. For forever.
What do you think of the nickel market now? Because it's the prices come back substantially.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I think the nickel market is an example of going from bad to less bad. So we're going to less bad right now. Mm-hmm. So it's still not a great market because of the oversupply from Indonesia. Now, the Indonesian oversupply really affects the Chinese market more so than North America, and it affects the stainless market more so than the Class 1 nickel market, certainly in North America. So it's interesting to see companies like Samsung make their investment commitment to Canada Nickel, which I thought was a fantastic endorsement for Class 1 nickel in North America. They could have invested in Indonesian nickel, but they didn't. So why did they not do that? Well, they did it because of the heavy CO2 cost of Indonesian nickel, and the reality is that they're selling a bunch of consumer products, and their downstream clients are selling consumer products, and they don't want to be faced with that bad PR, and I think the people have we tend to get negative on things, like we were negative on uranium after the Fukushima disaster and stuff like that, and then uranium comes roaring back, and we're negative on nickel. Nickel will come roaring back, and nickel will be a great place to be. And the thing with nickel, unlike say lithium, which is obviously in the downturns as well, but lithium is and I think lithium's going to come back, but the lithium has been a operating story. So it's not exploration. There's tons of lithium in the world.
Right.
Okay, we just started looking for it, and we're finding lots of it.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of different technologies on it and different ways to get at it, but there isn't a lot of production lithium, which is where the shortfall was, and that's where that's what created the thing. Nickel has always been sought after. We've always been looking for nickel. It's a discovery problem. It's not easy to find high grade quality nickel projects, and so as a result, nickel's more complicated, and
it is very complicated.
I think and that's why we focus on the high grade, because we think that's really where the returns are, and the economics. So we'd expect, we're doing this feasibility study that'll be out in the summer, probably early Q3. Would expect I don't know, 50% north IRRs. That gets investment. Okay, a lot of these bigger nickel projects, and God bless them, I hope they get funded and done. If they do, then they'll be winners. Are less than 20. That's tough in this marketplace, and multiple $1 billion, where we might be 300 or 400 million.
Yeah.
So it's all about size and returns, and then the other thing about nickel is that I'll give you a number. Nickel prices today around 17.5 or so for a ton of nickel in London. Nickel powders, 80,000.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So you want to be in the refining business. So that's where we're moving. With our partnership with CVMR. And I think that they're doing their feasibility on it, but talks are progressing beyond that at this stage, and we'll hopefully have some news on that in the next while. But that's where the real money is, and we want to be in that business. We don't want to be a miner. We want to be a refiner.
What's your take on electric vehicles right now? I mean, it's a pretty polarizing subject. I've got neighbors. I own a 10-acre hobby farm, and all my neighbors own usually like 100, 200 acres, and they're being solicited to house EV batteries, to store EV batteries.
Oh, just because of they're used, and they need a.
I'm not sure if they're used or if it's like Hertz got rid of all these EVs or stuff like that, but they need a place to store them.
Interesting.
And I live on protected land.
Wow.
Just 30 minutes from here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they're doing it too. My neighbors are doing it.
Well. I hadn't heard that one. That's new. I mean, I'm of the view that I think, EV sales were still up, I think more than 30% last year. So EV sales are still on the hockey stick going up. And do I think every second car on the road is going to be EV, or all cars are going to be on the road by 2035? No, I never did. Do I think that 20% of the cars on the road will be EVs? Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. And I think, I mean, in North America, and I was never anti-oil and gas. I'm not anti-oil and gas now. I've got some of my, investments in oil and gas, significant investments. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that they're as dark for the environment as the media would have us believe. You only have to look at Indonesian nickel to know that there's other ways that we can be harmful to the environment. Right. And it's not that the Indonesians are bad people or trying to do bad things. Yeah. It's just that they're stuck with the fact that this is laterite at the surface in a tropical rainforest. And where do you store the stuff? Yeah, you're going to have runoff problems. Yeah. So it's not like they're bad people trying to destroy their environment. I know they're working hard on the situation. I had lunch with them when I was in Korea, and I know they're working at it, and they're doing the best they can. But it's a problem. It's a very big challenge. But it just speaks to the whole climate narrative is a complicated one, and I think that what you're going to get to is there's a need for both, and there's no chance that our grid could ever be developed quickly enough to handle the targets that have been set. Yeah. It's just not feasible. Yeah. But it doesn't mean on the other side that people are saying, oh, this is going to be negative. Like these EV things going to go away, and it's like these things are all going to zero. No, that's ridiculous too, because many people like EVs. Many people see the convenience of them, and many aspects of them are really great. And I think they're going to be a big part and a growing part of the vehicle solution market. But I just think there's going to be a longer pathway to complete adoption, and I don't think it'll ever get there because I don't think the economics will justify it, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Since you're such a well-traveled individual, I got to ask you, what's your favorite place in the world, and what would be, in your opinion, the best place to live?
You know what? So that's a tricky one, because it all speaks to stages in life, right?
Well said.
So for me, I'm soon to be 65. I can't believe it. So
popped up on you quick.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it comes. So for me, I'm a big swimmer. I like to golf. I like to fish. So I'm living now in the Bahamas, and it's a sensational place. I love it. Mm-hmm. So that's where I want to live, and no disrespect to Canada. I loved Canada when I was here, and I still love Canada. But so for me, I think it's a cool spot. I just came back from Dubai, and it's funny. I was out there meeting with our CVMR, who's our doing the feasibility study for us, and will be our partner in the refinery and the mine, etc. We think, and they're mostly based there, although they're not notionally based here. They're building a ton of stuff in Africa, and so that's a close jumping off point. And I'd heard a lot about Dubai, and it's sort of like got a lot of hype, I thought, in my mind. Yeah. But I went there, and man, I was impressed. Yeah, and it's sort of like, I don't know if you're ever in Calgary in the early 80s. Calgary had that, like, we can do anything attitude, and it was really, intoxicating to be in such a energy situation. And Dubai's got that energy right now, and they're doing some amazing things over there. Now, I mean, it's got tremendous heat, and it's got, all sorts of things. I don't know that I want to live there, certainly not at my age, but spend some time there for sure. And if I was younger, man, it might be a great place to go and make a pile of money. Yeah. I think there's that is available there, and it's a cool spot, and it's a cool culture, and so yeah, that's cool. And then I went from Dubai to South Korea for meetings with the Battery Metals Complex, and man, there's a well-run country, right?
South Korea?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I had visited South Korea 20 plus years ago, and it had a very, I would say, almost certainly at best a second world airport, and was very much like Indonesia, just had some buildings and stuff like that, but still rough around the edges. But in the last 25 years, man, this thing is just like ridiculous, and it's like they don't have any resources to speak of. What they got is well-educated populace and a strategic plan, and they are executing like crazy. And man, I mean, it's super impressive. I mean, you go in the garage over there, and they have not just Hyundais and South American or South Korean cars. They have cars, North American cars. They got BMWs, they got Mercedes. They're all smoking hot, brand new, and they're just running. You know what I mean? And it's sort of like you wonder. I mean, imagine Canada with this ridiculous amount of resources, well-educated populace, good rule of law, next door to the biggest market on earth, and honestly,
it's teed up to win.
It's teed up to win, but we're almost just keep on shooting ourselves in the foot. You know what I mean? And it's like it's super depressing that we haven't executed in a much better way, and I think we don't have a strategic vision. Or at least one that's not been, well executed or well thought out, and it's sort of super sad because as we drive by the homeless encampment, that's what happens when you don't have a execution.
It's gotten a lot worse after COVID. What about Japan? You like Japan?
Love Japan. Yeah. My favorite, if I was to only have access to one food for the rest of my life, it would be Japanese food.
Japanese food?
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. I like everything about it. Everything's great. And then they're and again, a super well-run country in my view. I mean, it's different, right? I mean, their cultures are different than our cultures. History has a lot to do with it, and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of beauty in Japan, and the economy's come back, and they've done some good things. They have an aging populace, and that's a bit of a time bomb for them, I think.
It seems like the world has that issue.
That they do. They do.
We have it here.
Yep.
It's definitely a complex problem because, especially when you think about housing, and right now when you look at how we've avoided these technical recessions, but when you actually factor in population growth to GDP, we're actually negative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of misleading.
Yeah, for sure. And it's sort of plus now we got generally two parents working, and they're not having the lifestyle that the one parent had 20 years ago.
Right.
So it's like
that's not that long ago.
No, that's not that long ago. Yeah. So I feel saddened for our young people, and I've got kids in this group and grandkids, and it's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not good. So then, okay, so what would you recommend, if you're sitting down with your son, do you have a daughter?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're sitting around with your kids and, they're expressing a little bit of concerns, right, what would you recommend to your kids, for your grandkids?
Yeah, you know what? So 2 of my 4 kids have moved to the Bahamas. So they are lifestyle-wise internet marketers, so they could work anywhere and do anything. So I think they thought that schooling-wise and work-wise and lifestyle-wise, that provided a better opportunity package for them and their family. Thrilled me to death, of course, to have my kids close, which is awesome. And then I got 2 that are here that obviously feel that this is home and they want to stay here, and I get that too. Yeah. So it's I think you can still have a great life in Canada, and I see leaders like Daniel Smith, and I get encouraged. I think that's the type of leadership we need. More about getting things done, less about rhetoric, and not so much about grandstanding and stuff. And
a lot of that going on in politics.
Yeah, it's on both sides. I don't know that I have it's I don't particularly have a favorite amongst the federal leaders. They're all and none of the above. It's sad. I know it's a difficult job. It's not an easy thing being a politician.
No.
But I feel like it's something that we're hoping that we'll get some reinvigorated leadership, shall we say, soon.
Well, we're back here at your residence for your stay in Toronto, anyways.
Yeah.
I look forward to the webinar and getting a more detailed overview of the company.
Yep.
And what you're up to. And I'm sure you're going to do big things. Thank you, sir.
Great. Good seeing you again.
Yeah,
and,
safe travels home and everywhere around the world.
All right. Cheers.